This is just a quick video about Sleeping Warrior, aka Anthony Riley, and what I believe to be complete and total intellectual dishonesty. Seems that he likes to hide comments. On this video, atmospheric pressure is a total fraud. I make the comment down here, all the way down here. Okay, so I comment here, Sleeping Warrior, seriously, and then I make this comment where I actually answer his question and then call him out and say, maybe you can explain why intermolecular forces means gases are essentially massless. Here's I can find no citation supports such an assertion. So here's a comment that I know was visible because I had checked it against an incognito window a couple of times to make sure that it was there. And it was. However, if we come here, we'll see that I say seriously. Let's go back here. Seriously, let's say you have 10 kilograms of dry ice. Seriously, let's say you have 10 kilograms of dry ice. But the next comment is by James M. Skipper, which is the one immediately after my comment. So I call him out. I say, why have you hidden my second comment? It was visible to everyone a little while ago, but it doesn't show up in the incognito window, and now others can't see it. He says, I haven't. You may have used a trigger word. Seriously, a trigger word? Let's keep that in mind, because that's his first excuse here. I come back, I say, there's no trigger word. You should be able to see it, because when I'm logged in, I can see it. So you can check the trigger words yourself. Not to mention it was visible to everyone for a while after I posted it. Therefore, it cannot be hidden to a trigger word. Otherwise, nobody would have been able to see it. He comes back. I don't mind comments unless they're overtly crass or personal. No need. Look again. Have a look in spam. That was, quite a while ago. I haven't refreshed the page, so that's wrong. But let's take a look at the comment that he deleted. Let's zoom in on this. So I call him out. I said, to answer your question, gases are subject to the same intermolecular forces as other states of matter. That's why gases can become a liquid and even a solid. Some gases are denser than air and collect in low-lying areas, which is why it's vital to test the atmosphere in tanks and voids prior to entering enclosed spaces. Denser gases will displace air, and can kill someone. If gases don't have mass, then you can have some gases that are denser than others. Density is mass per unit volume, QED. Gases have mass. Consider this. Water can exist in three states of matter: a solid phase, a liquid phase, and a gas phase. A ton of ice melts into water. The total water mass is still a ton. And if that same ton of water is flashed into steam, guess what? You still have a ton of water. Nearly every substance can exist in three states of matter. Even iron, which exists as a solid at room temperature, becomes liquid at about 2800 degrees and can become a gas at 5200 degrees. But regardless of which state a given quantity of matter is in, the amount of mass will not change from one state to the next, no matter what intermolecular forces are involved. Maybe you could explain why intermolecular forces means gases are essentially massless, because I could find no citation to support such assertion. So, his claim that it probably had a trigger word doesn't seem plausible, yet still gone. So, now let's take a look at another one. Let's show these replies. This is on how independent variables literally destroy the ball. It's about 4 months ago. And I call him out once again. I post the comment once again. Then I said, so you show my first comment but hide my reply. What are you afraid of? I didn't see your second comment. Then he didn't reply to anything else I had to say. So here's another comment that if we go to an incognito window and take a look, right? Here's the same thread that I started right here. And lo and behold, it's gone. It's not there. You can see it when I'm logged in. Can't see it in the incognito window. That means he hid it. And there's no other explanation for that because let's take a look at it. Do you know that claiming relative density as a force is not actually evidence of the claim? Just because you say it's a force using the grade school demonstration of neutral buoyancy doesn't rise to the level of evidence. What you didn't show is that relative density is a force. Had you understood how to apply a scientific method, you would have provided some observation, calculation, measurement that shows that relative density is a force to the sole cause of the neutrally buoyant egg. What you didn't show is a test of actual buoyancy equation. Had you understood how the scientific method works, or how to apply the scientific method, you would have tested a null or alternate hypothesis as evidence that gravity and thus a buoyant force equation isn't the cause. What you did was suppose that gravity doesn't exist and therefore ignored it, which is, as Nathan Oakley would say, a logical fallacy. Had you understood how to apply the scientific method, you would have realized this. You provided no observation, calculation, or measurement shows that relative density is a force to the sole cause of neutral buoyancy of the egg to the exclusion of all other probabilities, let alone gravity. All you've proven is that you don't have the first clue how the scientific method works, nor do you understand how gravity, buoyancy, or differential pressure work, all of which I know a hell of a lot more about than you. I've forgotten more about physics than you've ever known in your entire life. Keep that in mind next time you decide who is the dumb one in the conversation, because he calls me out. He goes, I did prove the changing relative density of the medium causes movement. Fact, no need to consider your video, you are dumb, and it won't be correct. So that's why I brought that up. So I call him out, I said what he didn't show and why it's important, and yeah, it's not there. There's me calling him out. So you hid my comment, what are you afraid of? I didn't see your second comment. Alright, let's move on. Here's another one under a thread that I started 3 months ago. Yep, here it is, a thread I started through. By the way, AB Science is actually a physicist. By the way, AB Science is actually a physicist. And here's a comment I made. Seriously, how you did describe your neutrally buoyant egg and differential pressure demonstrations. Did you say, hey, some stuff's going to happen and walk away? No, you presented the demonstrations that carefully laid out, although quite inaccurate descriptions of the demonstrations, predictions of the outcomes of the demonstrations, and a claimed cause of those outcomes. That's exactly what a model is. A model is nothing but a description of a given system, and you know it. And physics is where nearly all of the current descriptions of the natural world originate from, and the origins and basis of the current scientific method. You can't have it both ways, Riley. Either a descriptive predictive model is used to describe the physical world, or it can't. In other words, you can't present a model up for your demonstration and then tell a physicist he can't do the same. Double standard much. That's right after I made a comment to John Regadoo, and then John Regadoo replies. So, here's my comment to John Regadoo. Right here. Here's his reply, and that other comment is missing. So, what is that all about? You know, and it seems that only certain ones disappear. Ones where I call them out, I lay out an argument, ask them a question, something, it disappears. You know, the rest of everybody around here can decide for themselves whether or not they consider this to be intellectual dishonesty or not. You know, why these comments and my other ones stand. There's no trigger words in here, there's no foul language, there's no nothing. So unless he has like gravity as a trigger word, or, you know, scientific method as a trigger word, physics as a trigger word, unless he's got those listed somehow, and of course he doesn't, there's no reason that this should be hidden. And in this one, that's exactly what he claims when I call him out on it. He says, I ask him, why have you hidden my second comment? It was visible a little while ago, but it doesn't show up in an incognito window, and now others can't see it. He says, I have it. You may have said a trigger word. And then I come back, there's no trigger word. You should be able to see it because I can when I'm logged on. So you check the trigger word yourself. Not to mention it's visible to everyone after I posted it. Therefore, it cannot be hidden to the trigger word, otherwise other people wouldn't have seen it. He says, I don't mind comments unless they're overtly crass or personal. Now, I read it to you. It's not overtly crass. It's not personal. There are no trigger words in it. There's no foul language in it whatsoever. No ad homs, no nothing. He hid it because he's afraid of it. He can't answer it, and he's just dishonest about it. Or maybe it's just a pure accident. I'll let everybody in the comment section decide.